What's up, guys? This is Codes.
Matthew Anthony here.
Hey guys, Anammer here.
Hi, my name's Golf.
Mac Vaughn here.
My name's Winter. Dom Kane. Bjorn Atkinson.
Julian Gray.
Christian Vance.
The Secrets.
Elas.
Protoculture.
Austin Hot.
Hi there and welcome to another Sonic Academy Live, number 12, Chris.
Number 12?
Yeah,
Again, I'm surprised we're
3
back.
months.
We're back.
3 months. We said we were going to do a year, so we're a third through. Or no,
Did
third,
we?
a quarter.
A quarter, not even a quarter. Yeah, welcome along to this time slot. Sorry it's a day early. We had to rejig things. It's my fault, isn't it, Phil?
Ugh, wouldn't blame yourself. Just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it?
The cookie crumbles. So yeah, look, we are interested to see how the Wednesday night works. Loads of our usual heads are on. I just want to give a shout out to Harry, to Dennis, to Kava, to Mars Techniques, to Alexei Chervnov, to Leon020, to DRL. DRL, still love your track, DRL, still thinking about it. Mr. Rejeka is there. Deadly Custard is there. Sushant Sethi. Hiya, Sushant. You sound like a new guy. We've got Burgeslaw. We have got Kenny D in the house. Welcome along to Sonic Academy Volume 12. Phil, what have you been up this week?
What have I been at this week? Not a lot so far. I suppose with it being a bit earlier, we sort of haven't done as much. Trying to work on some new tracks for Alice Lab. Been working on some new material. So
Okay.
we've sort of finished pretty much the previous album, which will be going out in a couple of weeks.
Cool.
Did I show some of the mastering? Well, talked about it last week. So just finishing up the mastering on that. And
Did you go through a mastering chain last week? I don't think you
I don't
did.
think I went through it. No,
You threatened to?
threatened
You
to.
off air, you were talking about it. Maybe that would be something we could do.
Yeah, we could do in the future.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
it was-
about sort of.
Yeah, well, I think we talked about just sort of how I was balancing the tracks with one another to try and get a sort of even flow across them all. So, and that did throw up some problems. So I did
Yeah,
remix some of them.
you want to try and get a kind of coherent sound across
Yeah.
the album, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming up on the show, we've got some demo doctors. This week, we're going to take a look at stuff that we think needs a good bit of advice. In the last couple of weeks, we've uncovered tracks that are gems, absolute
Yeah.
gems. So this week we thought, look, let's get stuff that actually really needs a little bit of help and guidance. And so we've got 4 tracks in there. We have got from Mars Technique, we've got your track. We have got Lost Rhythm, your track. I'm trying to read off the screen. Can you see
What,
Simo?
these ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go through it when because the names aren't actually in them all there. But yeah, so we did say last week we were going to try and go for more of a noob vibe. And just discuss sort of maybe some sort of fundamental things. So we've got a Fix My Mix in, a really good one actually, that has got some issues that we encounter quite a lot, which is the sort of musicality of things. So I'm going to be trying to extract some rough and ready music theory tips. So nothing too complicated, but just sort of techniques that I use, especially if I'm doing a remix or trying to fix something, is just looking at the key and trying to make sure everything's in key, basically. So we're going to take a look at that process and how we can...
I think we got it in. It was quite clashy in places, and it's kind of like,
and it is
It is really at the start. It's utterly hard to sort of for your ear to start picking up, but over time, your ear starts to go, something's a bit off here. Something's not quite right.
Yeah, and I
you'll
think
know
that
what
this technique should help find the key, and sort of then you can sort of explore what chords are in that key and things like that. So I'll try and go through, but I'm not a by any stretch a music theory master, but I have my own techniques for just making sure I'm in the right key. And I think once you know a key, it sort of makes things a lot easier. Especially if, like, I noticed in this track as well, there's samples brought in from various places that have like designated keys, G minors or whatever, that are written on the files. So once you know your key, then it's maybe easier to pick samples and stuff and sort of help you through that, and how to transpose samples then, how to use relative minors and stuff like that. So we'll go through a bunch of that type of thing.
We also have a interview with Michael Oakley, who did last week's Synthwave course. So I caught up with him today in his studio, which I thought was in Toronto, but I found out is an hour outside Toronto, which is Niagara Falls.
He's in Toronto.
And
He sounds very Scottish.
He's only in Toronto the last 3 years.
Right, okay.
I found out today he married a lady from Canada and moved there 3 years ago.
Exciting stuff.
And so we have a 6-minute version of that interview, and next week we'll put that out on our YouTube, the full 25 minutes or so. A really interesting guy, kind of got into the scene quite late, and it's an interesting story of how he got there and since he uses and how he approaches it, and where he thinks synthwave is going in the future. So that's coming up. We also have, as you say, we have Fix My Mix, and hopefully lots of chat from you guys.
Yeah.
Welcome along. People are asking, have you got any wine? No wine this week. I am severely trying to curtail my drinking habits. And being
I
moderately
got
successful.
a whole bunch of. I've got like one of the Krups beer machines.
I saw it last night. You got a keg.
Yeah, I got delivered 8 Torps, 8 Heineken Torps, just for some crispy, refreshing beers. And how do we go on it last night? Just as it had chilled up to temperature. It was rather delicious, I must say.
And you forgot how good it was, yeah?
Yeah, it is like pints from the pub. It's really good.
What I want to talk to you about, and it's something I've been struggling with all week, somebody asked earlier on the chat, is about how do we handle backups.
Yeah.
I am possibly facing a complete reinstall on my trusty iMac here.
It's a tricky one, isn't it?
And it fills me full of dread. So
yeah, it's hard to know, especially in your, you've got a 2014, a late 2014 27-inch quad-core iMac, which should be enough for almost anything, really, you would still think, but it's starting to give you issues. Did you think it started when you moved to Catalina? Is that?
I think it did, just before Catalina. I've been having issues for quite some time.
Yeah.
I'm getting this thing where the helper renderers are really driving up my CPUs and stuff, but I just can't get it. So my audio is drift. I think there's something going on with UAD at the moment.
Yeah.
I was even playing back after I got off with you the call. Again, my what do you call it? Sample rate seemed to be drifting, so it's just like speeding up and so pitching. So I'm kind of going, right, before we ditch the machine.
Yeah.
Do we do a clean install, put everything back? So what you were talking? Would you do a clone of the drive? And,
well, yeah, I mean,
or Time Machine. What about Time Machine?
I've never used Time Machine. I would use Carbon Copy Cloner.
Yeah.
As a backup, because you can boot from it.
Mm-hmm.
And put that on an external drive, wipe your drive, and start again. There's no easy way to get stuff, especially plugins going, because there's have to go through the registration process and all that kind of stuff. Generally speaking, the way my system is set up now, I have an external drive. Well, it's actually a separate internal drive that samples and everything are bootable between both computers. And I got a newer MacBook there recently, and I had to reinstall all the plugins and stuff, which is a bit of a pain in the A, but you sort of, I don't know, I quite like it in terms of you kind of focus in on what stuff you're actually using and ditch stuff,
I was kind of going to use it as an opportunity to ditch so much stuff and go, you know what, I just don't use this anymore. And not
big time.
I mean, the one thing that put me off is putting up Logic and AU tool. Going through, I have 1,000 plugins, and it's just like, God,
I know. It's just all because we get a lot of stuff to test and that kind of thing, and you sort of install everything. And I've so many. I mean, I don't use that many plugins anymore, really. But although you think you don't, and then you load an old project up, and it's got a whole bunch of stuff that you used to use, so it's a hard one. tricky.
Yeah,
Carbon copy
It-
cloner
it's-
definitely for backups, and then Dropbox to just save all your stuff. That can, I mean, depends on, I think it's $7.99 a month for 2 terabytes.
Mhm.
That's for the personal ones. I think if you go up to 11 quid, it's like 3 terabytes. And then you can go business ones for 20 quid a month for, I think, we have 50 terabytes or something, don't we?
I think it was something like that. But you also need a hard drive to marry. If you're dumping
Yeah,
everything,
you need
you need a hard drive.
secondary
And
drive.
do you have everything then? Selective sync. Do you have
Yeah, it's just
everything
selective
all?
sync, yeah. So I don't know,
But do you
if the
do you not
guys don't
find that
know,
kind of?
in Dropbox you can either have things that actually are on your computer or things that are in the cloud, and then you can decide which ones. So just take them as you need them, really.
Yeah.
Especially on
Well,
the MacBook, because I don't want to. It's only got a small internal drive.
Well, I have a tiny MacBook Pro with geez, I think it's like 128 gigs, so everything is offline on it.
Yeah.
But I do get a bit frustrated constantly going, I'll go and grab that track, and it's like you have to wait till it downloads, and it kind of kills your vibe sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah.
smallish price to pay for being able to have potential access to, hundreds of terabytes of stuff. I
Well,
suppose.
it's going to have to happen. I've got a NAS drive set up here, and I have Time Machines going to it, so I do have Time Machine there.
Yeah.
But we could be off air next week if I
Yeah.
I totally ruin this computer and
Yeah.
just like get myself into a big hole and just I dread doing it. I'd almost rather have a restart the computer every couple of hours than actually sit down and do a clean install. It's that bad. So
Yeah, some of the guys on the chat were wondering about privacy in the cloud, and what do we feel about that? It's a tricky one. I mean, I suppose you just assume that the likes of Dropbox have that
Yeah,
covered.
I would have thought there's any encryption and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, we have, on my Mac, we have backups here as well. So, but I mean, I think they've got a really good system. They roll back to like a month with the Pro one, where you can, if you've deleted a file or anything, you can go back a month ago and reinstate stuff, and it's really handy that way.
Mr. Jack is on the chat. Hi Gary, how you doing? He did a spring clean this week. It was long but worth it. Dropbox enabled and collect on save today. So and a RAM upgrade. We RAM upgrade this computer. So yeah. So yeah, I think it's got a.
Did you hear about is it iLock bought Juice?
Pace bought Juice,
Yes,
yeah,
Pace.
and they bought something else from Rolly. So Rolly sold two things.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't buy the other thing. They didn't buy BFD.
No, somebody else bought BFD. I can't
So
remember.
if anyone
Something.
doesn't know, Juice is the framework that makes building plugins easier, and a lot of of the main developers are using that. And it's an interesting development that iLock is going to be probably integrated in a big way into Juice. I imagine you'll start seeing a lot of iLock plugins.
Yeah.
Many people been using iLocks in the chats. What do you think about it?
What do you think of iLock? Because I don't have loads of experience with it. It doesn't, apart from Slatey stuff.
Yeah,
It's never really bothered me.
I've got a lot of stuff on iLock actually.
It used to be shit, and now it's kind of all right. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean
It's because it was a physical key, was pissing everybody off. Now there's the cloud version.
yeah,
so
the cloud
it's not.
version's good. The only problem with the cloud version is, and it's a small issue, but it's not just automatic. So when I go into my MacBook and I log in, it's like your plugins don't load, and then you go, I have to go in. You have to open iLock thing, and then go up to the menu
Authorize
and go, open cloud session, and that it should just go. Is there another cloud session open? Do you want to switch? Yes, and that's it, and that would be great. Also, they do have, although Slate doesn't have this feature, but some iLock software has the feature of just being able to install it to that particular computer. So that would be handier. And do you know what really bugs me? That certain companies only give you one license. So stingy.
And that's mainly down to the company. It's not iLock's issue.
No, that'll be the company. Yeah.
How many licenses do you think?
I think two. You need two. Most people
So
have
you
a
do need-
desktop and a laptop. We give two
Yeah.
with all ours, and
Yeah,
most
I think-
most people would give two.
Three's have been a bit Well, who has 3 setups? Very few people.
You
Some
have a
people, but
home
very
computer,
few.
and sometimes you have a laptop. I think
Yeah.
that's reasonable.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So, anything else floating your boat this week?
Anything else? Not really. I haven't. I think because we're a bit earlier, I haven't actually got into doing a huge
Yeah,
amount of
so
work.
the start of this week has been like trying to get interviews,
Yeah,
and
well,
because
we
we pushed the show
redid.
forward.
I suppose that's one thing. We sort of redid the setup for the stream
Yeah.
a bit, just to streamline things, and yeah, it was sort of getting a bit unwieldy. We were sort of adding things every week, and then it sort of got a bit out of hand. So I've sort of pared it all back. Although I don't know if my button's working. Is it working? Yeah. Look.
Oh, it is working, is it? Yeah. So, hey, look, if things don't work tonight, it's just because we kind of Phil rejigged everything, so it mightn't just work as smoothly as.
Our strap is a different color.
Yeah,
It's not-
who
it's
prefers?
not
I
pink
prefer the dark
anymore.
color. It's not that awful pink.
So there you go.
So, guys, will we play an ad and then jump over to Mr. Demo Doctor? Is that?
Yes, let's
What
go.
you wanna do?
What ad?
Okay.
Are we going to do interview first or short ad first?
I think we go short ad first.
All
What do you
right,
reckon?
Okay, let's do it.
Want to learn how to use Ableton Live 10 taught to you by an Ableton certified trainer? SonicAcademy.com have 36 in-depth tutorials that take you from opening Live 10 for the first time to exporting your first track. We look at arrangement and session views, explain how to create your first beats and sounds, and even making your production shine using Live's built-in effects. You also get downloadable project files and samples so you can easily follow along at home. So what are you waiting for? Learn Live 10 from scratch today only on SonicAcademy.com.
That's us.
So there you go.
Yeah, that's us back.
That's us back. Guys, just want to remind everyone out there that we do currently have running a 7-day free trial. We have 30% off our annual subscriptions, and we have 65% off Anna too. So in this lockdown time, please go and grab. We also would like you to subscribe to the channel here. So hit the subscribe button.
Hey, what about that for
Like-
timing?
Oh, did you hit the? Oh, brilliant! It's almost as if I'm sitting there right beside you. And smash something. I can never remember what you smash. Is it the
smash the bell button, smash the like.
Smash.
I don't know.
Smash the like.
Who cares? You can do
Who
it if
cares?
you want to. We don't care.
Hit a bell, hit a like, smash a bell, whatever notification. Yeah, we'll get back to Thursday night. So I don't know what the chat is kind of undecided, saying
Yeah.
Wednesday night's just good, Thursday night's just good. Please let us know in the chat. Hi Cosmic Cat, welcome along. Hi DRL, welcome along. Hi Tech Light, welcome along. So we're going to jump in to look at some demos.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so as we said, we're going for some less experienced producers this evening, I would say. And we have a regular user. This is Mars Techie Q.
Nick.
So let's go for this.
First of all, let me just turn him up.
Okay. Obviously, the first thing there is the vocal is a bit out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a performance thing, or do you think that's a sample thing that's gone? Yeah.
He's saying that's a Cubase thing.
Yeah, I mean, I've generally found Cubase's timing pretty tight, so I would definitely look at a performance. Or I mean, when I'm sort of cutting vocals, I sometimes if the vocalist is out of time, I will go in, to each line and sort of move them back into time. So I suppose you have to sort of focus on that and try and if you're working with a vocalist as well, it's you kind of have to have a good idea in your head about what the phrasing is yourself, and coach them into getting a tighter performance. Kind of sounds as well as if maybe the synths aren't in time as well.
it's just something is all. Is this a sample? Is the vocal a sample, or is it somebody has sang it? Or so I think you need to, yeah, you need to start sort of working it in small sections and going right. It is the bass in time, is the pads in time. Now then you'll get a sense and feel that the the vocals. I mean, when you're listening to this back, Mars, can you tell yourself and going something not quite right here? There's something a bit off, or you know. What is throwing your timing
Yeah,
here?
I mean, one
I'm
thing
trying to.
I would say about Cubase versus the likes of Ableton is sort of quite good when you throw in drums and when you throw in stuff that it automatically sort of warps. Where Cubase, the default is it just throws it in at whatever tempo it's at, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't
Yep.
automatically start to stretch things in. So there could be an issue there with just making sure that your loops are matched to the BPM of the track. So just check that your loop points, if you're looping in 16 bars or 8 bars, that the drums are looping, and same with your synths, and just make sure that all your sort of elements are kind of.
So look,
There's sort of a lot of stuff kind of fighting for
yeah.
attention there.
He said, he said that he recorded first time using Cubase. He brought it into Ableton and then back. I don't understand that round trip. Why you would need to do that, and something has gone awry in there. So, and if it's a vocalist, make sure you give the vocalist like something really solid to sing against. If your backend's all a bit sort of off, she is going to, she's going to be running around trying to find the timing in her headphones and stuff. So sometimes we would have put in, stronger hi-hats. I would have maybe done a mix for a vocalist to give a real sense of timing, or if the vocalist had really good timing, maybe a real sense of the key.
Yeah, and that's just a case of, throwing in a track that's an extra track with, maybe a stronger click or a stronger thing on it to send them. I'm guessing you guys are working remotely. Is that right, Mars? Or
yeah, if you are working remotely, let us know. So it was a pre-recorded vocal, and I tried to build the track around it.
Right.
So I think your time stretch.
It can be really difficult to match up a vocal, to time stretch it. Oh, you're going all over the place, Chris. Where's Chris gone?
Oh no,
he's back.
Hi, I'm back.
Yeah.
All my kids are probably on doing 7 HD chats to their friends.
Yeah.
She's in London, he's in the UK. So, and was my empty chair there when I disappeared? My lonely empty chair.
It was, yeah. So number one, try and make sure the drums are in time with Cubase. There is normally loops will come chopped to the right length for the most part if you're using from a sample pack. You should notice you're either working 4, 8, or 16 bars, and in Cubase there is a tool that you can select, which is like a time stretch tool, enables you to drag the file. So you basically want to drag the drum file and match it up to the 4, the 16, or 8, or whatever it's closest to, and that should theoretically get it in time to begin with.
And the one thing I always struggle with sometimes with vocals is if there's like a pre-word or so before the downbeat, and you're trying to find that, so sing it in your head and sort of feel where you think the beat should drop, and that should be your down point. So if it's like coming to you, that you would be on the downbeat, and the coming to would be
nice
pre.
Singing there, Chris.
Was it? For the first time ever, I've got the world's. I remember doing Holding On to Nothing with Audrey, and I had to sing the chorus into your ear.
Yeah.
And God love her, she must have been like, "What is that guy doing? It's just offensive."
On to nothing, yeah.
It's just offensive. Get him away, kill him. So yeah, Mars. Thank you very much for sending it in. Again, as I said last week, it is a very brave thing to do to send your stuff in here and let the world have a listen to it. And look, good luck, and just work on sort of getting beats and working on timings and stuff.
And by all means keep sending us stuff. We're more than happy to listen and give feedback. Might not always get on the show, but we will certainly try and respond to you, and especially Techolite. He's brilliant at responding to track feedback in the forums.
Yeah, TechLight, I do want to thank you for all your work in the
Yes,
forums of
that's
recently,
excellent.
because they've got really, really, really busy, and he's been really great at helping people out and shouting at people who are trying to upload remixes to SoundCloud. Doing a good job of policing that.
Yeah.
So, next up, who have we got?
Okay, let's look for this one. This one is Christopher Lieberher. Lieberher?
Hi, Christopher. If you're in the chat, please say hello. And if you're not in the chat, we'll stop playing your track. That's the rules. So this genre could go anywhere here. Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Do you like that riff?
The only thing that bother me is that sort of top plinky sound.
Yeah, that's kind of. And again, everything's kind of rigid, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
That's a nice drop, sort of bringing in some atmosphere.
Yeah, people keep asking why aren't we drinking. It's a really bad look.
Yep. I've got 6 minutes for the interview. I could probably manage to get myself a beer.
I've got a cupboard
Breakdown
full of
too
booze.
long there. Is there enough?
Yeah, we kind of, if we're brutally honest, we've drifted a little bit, have we? Is this a breakdown, or what is this?
Kicks in a breakdown, Chris. What's your view on that?
Yeah, it's fine, but it has to be sort of filtered
going
or
somewhere,
shortened. Yeah. I don't like that snare. I think the snare sounds a bit cheap.
Going panning, like.
Just,
I mean, the thing I would say is it's got all the, obviously again we have been picking sort of less experienced stuff this week, just so we can sort of delve a bit deeper. It's got the right sort of makeup in terms of drums and bass and pads and chords, and then a lead, and they all sort of sit quite well. I think just musically for me, there's not enough sort of coolness or something to sort of maintain that sort of interest over a whole track. It sounds kind of computer gamey or sort of like music in that sort of genre maybe. Have we got them on the chat?
he hasn't.
No,
He hasn't. Chris hasn't arrived. So I think you need to go and listen to. Somebody said it kind of sounds very. DRL says it kind of sounds very arty. I think you need to go and listen to Zed and Art. This is kind of main stagey stuff. So go and listen to.
Do you think, Chris?
Nicky Romero.
I'm trying to remember back to like, when I was just starting off, like really just starting off. Do you think that people? Do you think people even hear the difference? Do you think do you think when you're doing that initially, do you think your track sounds like an arty track? If you're listening to that and you're, is that what you're thinking in your mind, or do you think, oh, that's a banging track and I've pretty much nailed that? Or the reason I'm asking is because I'm trying to give the right advice in terms of I suppose critical listening and really comparing your stuff, and how do you break down a track to sort of really understand the difference between what you're doing and maybe what someone like Artie's doing? Or
I think I mean I always knew when it wasn't quite right and wasn't quite there, and then I think when you got, I keep saying this, I think in the studio I don't know if you ever got to experience this, when you got it right, you kind of knew you were in the studio and going, this is it. I've nailed it. I've got it. Did you ever get that?
I mean, I remember kind of going. I mean, it was one. I had an old studio like in a club back in the olden days, and I sort of just worked there on nights and weekends. And one of the guys that I worked with sent me a track that we'd done together, you know, and I was charging a $5 an hour or something to do a track, and I listened to it, and it was really interesting to, you know, to hear how far off the mark in such obvious areas that I was back then. You know, it was basically it was basically a rip off of like the Who type thing. I'd got the 909 kick. It sort of was there. There was the bass line was sort of there, but some elements were just like, whoa, really? Did you do that? You know, so that's why I'm sort of asking, you know, or saying, you know, maybe when you're less experienced, you maybe just don't even hear. Those
No, you
things
don't hear. Well, I think that's key. You don't hear because you haven't got the experience, and the more tracks and the longer you're in this game. And I mean, I listen back to things like El Nino and go, Jesus Christ, what are we thinking of, lad? Musically, okay, but mix wise, just in head in the clouds.
And I would say that and it's quite hard to practice, but I would say it is key is at the very least arrange out your idea to a full track length, render it out so you've got it as a file on your hard drive, you know, as if you're finishing a track. You know, obviously, you know, it might not be up there, but I think it's always really, really good to sort of do that, so you've got a body of work to listen to through and see where you're progressing, and you know, because you'll listen to a track back maybe 2 weeks later and go, jeez,
What you thought it was, I've nailed it, and then go.
And that even happens to me now. I listen back to, like, I think we were doing like stuff together, you know, and like I would listen back and I go, actually, it's a bit rubbish, you know, but
But that's that's you know, that's always striving to improve, and you and you can take something from that track and put it into the next track and be better because of it. You know, it's always look, just keep doing stuff, keep churning stuff out.
I think that listening to a lot of stuff. I mean, do you know one thing that, I mean, I think I probably did this more than you did it. Was I very often copied tracks, so I would like get, you know, a Paul Van Dyke track and just work out bits, work out the chords, work out the bass line, try and sound design the same sounds, and you know, I spent a lot of time kind of reverse engineer stuff. You never did any of that. That's why I had to give you all the kick drums.
Because I was shit at it. I was just like, I wanted to. I was much better at just creating my own stuff rather than listen. You were really good at picking out chords.
I still am. I've always been obsessed with reverse engineering and sort of trying to get other people's sounds and stuff like that.
Jekka says on the chat, self ANR. Cosmic Cat says you can only hear what you know to listen for. So that's very true. So once you go, you know, it did take me a good couple of years to really hear what a compressor did. There was loads of times I was going, I can't hear this. And then you start to go, I understand, I can hear what that does, and you can now hear coloration. There are loads I'm going to be honest with everyone, there are loads of plugins that, you know, people say, you know, can you hear the air that this introduces? I can't.
I mean, there's you know, there's so many plugins that are for that last 2% of a track. You know
but
what I mean?
I think I'm a bit color, like, just deaf to all that stuff, because you know, when you put a compressor and say, you know, here, can you hear the coloration of this compressor? I'm going,
the Slate 116 vintage is much better than the Slate 116 standard. You can really hear the difference in the mid-range boost on that.
I always think, am I alone in thinking it's all a bit bullshitty? Is it? Because I don't hear it.
I don't know. I kind of, some of that, I mean, like, I would be quite fussy about, like, you know, a top end EQ. Like, I don't really like the Neve, and I like, sometimes I would, you know, go. You
like the curve bender?
Yeah, curve bender or something like that. You know what I mean? And but I think that comes with a lot of. But then you can make, you know, I've certainly made tracks and still put on like curve benders and like fancy EQs. It still sounds absolutely rubbish. So
and it's everybody jumping from Pro Q to Pro Q3, and it's like, you know, is there, apart from the user interface, is there actually audible difference?
A desk that hissed so much that you had to like manually ride the mutes to sort of stop it from. Anyway, right, let's go to the next. Let's go to the next one. We've got Lost Rhythm. Who did Lost Rhythm?
Lost Rhythm did it.
Oh, Lost Rhythm, yeah. Okay. This is a totally different track.
So yeah, we were listening to this earlier on. This is interesting because we're going to absolutely contradict everything we've been telling you for 11 weeks now. So never take anything we say seriously or on board. Just do your own thing. Because
Yeah,
We'll ditch
tech
our own
like saying
advice
about
at the turn.
track referencing. That's one thing we didn't actually mention there is like metric AB and stuff like this too. I mean, I still do a lot of referencing, especially when I'm doing vocals and stuff like that, where I actually download acapellas of tracks, pop tracks that I like, and sort of AB the actual vocals and stuff.
Yeah. So DRL asking is what we're going to talk about reverb. It is going to be about reverb.
So far, so good. Love a vocal.
Yeah. Vocals just take things up to the next level. They really do.
What do you think about that section? For me, the vocals fighting far too much with that lead sound. I mean, they're your two sort of main bits of the track, so I don't think they should really be going together, personally.
Would you rather just feel a pad in there, just bedding the vocal?
Yeah. Or at the very least, if you're going to introduce that sound, introduce it with less
different
notes and less like stuff going on, potentially.
See, to me, this thing has just too much reverb at the moment.
Sorry, Deadly Custard. It's just written when the cat walks across your keyboard.
And that sound, that's just the turn of phrase I would use in the studio would be the arse has completely fallen out of it there.
Yeah.
Just a bit sort of like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's no discernible like bass groove that something.
Yeah.
Even, and it doesn't have to be like the bass. It could just be like congos.
Just some sort of
rhythmical element that keeps it moving along. The vocal's really good though. I think there's lots of potential going.
Yeah, really good.
Again, you can see from the waveforms. Any tracks that have worked really well tend to have, this is obviously you've got the RMS in the middle and then the peak outside it. And you can tell in the RMS when people have been building up their tracks with elements that it sort of has a bit of a slant to it. You can see it happening here a bit.
Yeah, that's a bit of dynamics.
Yeah, a bit of dynamics, something building through the track. We've sort of talked about that, whether it's building up percussion or building up effects.
I think that's just a bit too random. It's kind of interesting, but it's feels a bit, and just too much. The reverb's too big. Maybe do that technique where you're sidechaining the synth to itself, so you get a bit of suckiness in the reverb.
Yeah, for me, the choppiness and the timing, it's very hard for the user to latch on, the listener to latch on to a melody, an idea, a rhythm, which is what if you're in a club and you're tapping your foot and you're going on, you want that something to hook you in, and it's hard to get sucked into that.
Plus, I think what he hasn't done here is featured the vocal the way it should have been featured. It hasn't put it on a pedestal and went, check this vocal out, and built everything around the vocal. It's almost everything's built around that, sound.
Yeah, I think that lead. I really do like the lead sound. I think it's a really interesting sound.
Totally, it's bang in that progressive melodic techno-y area. Yeah. I think the vocal needs to feature more and build around. I think this is just far too empty for me. Far too. And I understand what he's trying to do. He's trying to do sort of rhythmical changes over the course and be really clever and interesting. I just don't think it's quite hitting.
It's just a build down. Yeah, it's a tricky one. That good ideas, good atmosphere in places. That sounds just. I don't think you can do. I know. I was working on track with Gary Ejeka, and it had like a rhythmical pad thing, and it was using like a modulation, so it was like whoa, 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 that type of thing, and
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of it's a bit more subtle, so you can kind of get away with it more there. Where I think
Yeah.
that sort of seems like someone's changing the speed on an ARP or something, and it just doesn't quite fit in.
As DRL said, look, there's some great ideas, just not probably well executed. So less reverb. The vocal, we all agree, is great. I can't work out how many each week. Are these vocals all from sample packs, or are we, are there great singers out there and
Yeah.
people writing great tracks will let us know.
His lost rhythm's not there, is he?
He should be. Sometimes he is on, sometimes not. He's going to kick himself when he
Be
misses
raging to be
this.
sitting there tomorrow at 8 o'clock, going, "Where's my
8 o'clock.
track?"
Where's everyone? Where is
Okay.
So for week 12, we're going to say less reverb. Somebody's put this through a sausage fattener, have they?
What?
Somebody's put
Yeah, 3 sausage fatteners on this one.
sausage
Although,
fatteners
look-
each turn.
See what I'm talking about when you can see the RMS
Yeah.
like increasing, like a wee ramp.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we know there's stuff going to happen.
And everybody, Michael Oakley's just joined the chat. Say hello to him, ask him any questions, and he will hopefully answer. He's here to answer questions. We were playing his interview after the end of this track, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So let's have a listen to this.
No messing about it. Start there, right in with all the
No.
songs. Bass is just far too overpowering for me.
Yeah, it's too heavy and
It
not.
either needs to be like super sidechain to get like a bit of pumping going,
Yeah.
or it needs to just be rhythmical.
And that section where it dropped, just something come in the bottom end like a bump, bump, dum, bump, bump, dum, dum,
Yeah.
bump. Mr. Ejeka, breakbeats in the house.
Yeah. Remember?
Woo! Yeah! Woo! Yeah!
This is good. This is good.
I mean, it's not a million miles away. I don't know. You definitely need more sidechaining on that.
Yeah. And something else, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, and you hear percussion in there.
Yeah, it's definitely got some good vibes. I would,
What genre would you call this?
I don't know, synth punk,
Synth punk? Anybody on the chat?
dirty breaks.
It's before the floor.
Oh yeah. Jungle of Electromassive.
It's all loads in, isn't it? It's
Lovely stabs. Oh yeah. Now we're talking.
I like this.
Don't blow it.
Don't blow it. Don't blow it. It looks like it's going to get blown. Look at the RMS.
Oh no.
Prodigy. I think it's great, but the bass is just.
Yeah, I mean it's in moments you're going, that bass actually isn't too bad, and then other moments you're like, it's just too much. But I think I don't see why you wouldn't just split that bass up, and keep it quite heavy and just have it like down, 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 down.
And I would milk the sort of prodigy elements a little bit more. I think you should really just sort of kitsch those up a little bit and make it, because it feels quite fun, that breakdown, when that sort of ravey stab came in. It was like, it does put a smile on your face, and you're
again,
going,
I suppose with that ravey stuff, that's quite almost a progressive arrangement. Sort of wait until a 3/4 of the way through the track to sort of have a breakdown and do the thing. I think with that stuff, you kind of it's more choppy. It's first chorus sort of bridge. You're sort of wanting to get stuff in quite quickly and chop and
and drop things out and drop things in and drop a kick out and drop in a breakbeat. Totally, you've got to really, really mix it up. And Jackie said it's hard to do breaks and 4 on the floor, but nice tune. Yeah, I think the bass is just probably letting it down there. Yeah, go and listen to some Prodigy and have a listen to what they're doing with their basses, and the drone bass can work, but just you need something pumping or underneath to move the thing along. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Cool.
Good stuff.
We have an honourable mention as well.
We'll give a quick blast of this because we kind of like this track. This is Mark Anthony.
Mark's in the chat. Hello,
Mark.
Mark,
we
brilliant
really
track.
like this track. Not much to say about it other than it's really good. Dropping from the break.
Brilliant drums, like just really punchy. Really nice.
Yep. What's the vocals from, Mark? Really nice.
Yep, everyone loving this in the chat.
Love that vocal.
Yeah. See, that's kind of off.
It is, yes.
It really works. It really works. It's got that sort of New York-y vibe to it, hasn't it? Somebody wants you to play the drop again. Do a spin back.
Yeah, there was a bit towards the end, I think, where he doubles up the vocals. It sounded a bit odd, but...
See, there's somebody disagreeing. Anthony B says the vocals are off. I think they feel like they're off.
Yeah.
But they're actually really engagingly off. And it must have been really hard, Mark, to get those vocals working and to get the music working.
I would agree that I think it sounds like a cool remix as opposed, and it sort of fits in. I imagine the original vocals probably had some key, chord changes in them and I think keeping it straight. I think as long as you're keeping it straight, I think if you were to have different chords there and they weren't in key with the vocals, it would be a totally different thing. But anyway, thanks, Mark. Great track.
Brilliant. The drums are really well produced. Everything really punches through. The bass lines really working. Your rhythmical elements work. You've got this really interesting vocal. It's hooky. It's really, really good.
Yeah, so there we go.
I liked it. Somebody else sent in a remix. We had a chat earlier. We want to hear your original works rather than remixes of other people's works. So
original works. And
please don't send us remixes. Please send us originals.
Original stuff.
And always jump on the chat. Let us know a bit about the track, whether it's original vocalist or it's sample pack or it's splice or where you're getting.
Should we ask people to do that when they're sending in their tracks? Is that a good idea?
Give us a paragraph about the track.
Yeah, paragraph about the track. What you're having issue with, what you like, what you want us to talk about or look at.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
If there's a vocal in it, where did the vocal come from? What are the references? What are your sort of influences, stuff like that? And it just all gives us sort of a bigger picture that we can talk about tracks and makes maybe it easier for us to pick them as well.
Guys, once again, thank you very much for sending in the tracks. Thanks everyone on the chat for your feedback. We are going to go to a interview I did with Michael Oakley, and Michael should be on the chat somewhere. Say hello. Don't forget, he has kindly arranged a synthwave remix course. I would love you all to jump on because new retrowave is nearly 1 million massive, nearly 1 million subscribers
Yeah,
on
you're
YouTube.
guaranteed
Get
a
the track.
couple of 100,000 views, or maybe 100,000 views if you get a good track
That's,
on
I
there.
mean, it's hugely, you just get it, a huge exposure there. So, got to keep in mind, what are new retrowave about? What are they looking for? So, I doubt techno drum and bass remix is really going to
Yeah,
land with
it's
them.
going to be need to be pretty synthy, I would have
Pretty
said.
synthy, and yeah, he's a brilliant vocalist, and so you get these brilliant vocals to work with and work your magic and go. Do you know what?
Is it him singing on it?
He he sings.
Oh
He
yeah,
writes
wow,
top lines for a lot. He writes top lines for a lot of synthwavy stuff. So
cool.
yeah, it's all in the interview. So we're going to play a snippet of the interview, and then next week on the YouTube channel on the site, we'll release the full 30 minute. I think it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes of me chatting with him.
Awesome.
So
Here we go.
so yeah, please get your synthwave remixes in, and let's have a chat with Michael Oakley.
Want to learn how to use Ableton?
Tell me, how did you get into the whole synthwave scene and stuff? I mean, you're one of the more prolific players in the scene. How did it all start for you?
It was kind of strange. I just had went through a sort of series of weird life-changing events. I had went through a breakup from a long-term relationship, which I ended up having to move back in with my dad, back in my parents' house, because I lived with her. And then while I was there, I started writing music again. I hadn't written for years. I wanted to make something that was like the music I listened to when I grew up, you know, when I was at high school.
What was the first sort of success? What was the first thing you went, actually, hold on, this is working?
It was definitely when I finished Rabbit in the Headlights. I had finished the track and I was really excited about it, but I didn't really intend to do anything with it as such. You know, the whole kind of idea of me writing music again was more of a kind of, I guess, like a therapeutic, cathartic sort of thing for me personally. So when that happened and I discovered new retrowave, curiosity got me. So I sent it to New Retrowave, and weeks went by and I didn't think they were interested. And then they said, "Oh, we love this. We're going to put it up in the station." And then when they put that track up on their YouTube station, and I noticed that every day the track was getting like 10,000 more views, it had that moment where it was like, there's 250,000 like views on this. I've never had that before. This is like, whoa.
When you're sitting down to write, do you start making the tune, or do you sit at a piano or a guitar and write the lyrics first? What is the way it works?
I would say 99% of the time I usually start in Ableton, and I'll usually maybe drop a drum loop down and then loop it, and then I'll just go through patches and find sounds that I like, stop, move on to the next MIDI track, open up another thing like Nexus or something, and then flick through sounds. Oh, that's a nice bass sound. Keep that. And basically what I'll do is I'll find like a palette of sounds, and then start to kind of play around with it. And then once I've got, you know, a little demo of something that's a kind of like a mood board, then I'll move upstairs to the piano and kind of play with the chords and the melody. And once I've got something that works, then I come back down and I finish what I'm doing. So it follows that.
Are you constantly searching for new things or sound designing new things? I know you do a lot of sound design work.
I would say I definitely, I'm always looking for new things, much to the detriment of my bank account. And like everyone's producer, my wife made me like go through my PayPal and like list everything that I had bought. And like when I looked through it all, I was just like, oh my god, man! I didn't even need half of this stuff. I don't even use half of this stuff.
You need a secret PayPal account. You don't tell her about the other one. You know, it's like
that was the secret.
All right, how did you find? Oh man! Are you all in the box, or are you using? Have you started the habit of the dangerous habit of buying external gear at the moment?
I am all in the box. Although the last couple of days, I was on Reverb looking up a Juno 106, but I it's kind of like getting a tattoo for me. You know, when you want to get a tattoo, you sort of like, right, if I'm going to get it, I'm going to sleep on it for a week.
Right, okay.
Just because this is a big decision. So I've slept on it, and I'm not going to buy it.
Well, you know, where do you think synthwave is now?
I think the genre went through a little bit of a stagnation period where it was almost like we were sort of stuck on 2016 for a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
while.
yeah.
There was it's funny, someone else who did one of the courses, Time Cop,
Yeah,
and you know, like I love Geordie's music, and it's funny because I think he was probably the victim of his own success, because there was so many people that tried to emulate his music and his sound, that it ended up, that type of sound became very sort of like
formulaic.
every single it was just all the time you were hearing that. So I think now we're coming out of that. There's been more producers uh, who are really great at production, who are bringing stuff out. It's funny because like part of the charm of the genre early on was the fact it had a bit of a lo-fi bedroom kind of sound, and it sounded like it hadn't been mastered, and that the production was a little bit more rudimentary, and that was part of the charm. Whereas now I think it's the more polished productions that are standing out.
And where do you see yourself in the next 12 months?
So I've been definitely working on a new album. I'm going to be releasing a couple of singles this year. I had planned to do an album, but because of everything that's kind of happened, I can't tour, so I couldn't go and play any live shows. So which I want to do when I have the new album there. I wanted to do live shows. So I'm going to release a new album next year, tour with that. The new sound of the album is definitely going to be more modern sounding. I would say it's a more modern take on the retro genre, that's for sure.
Michael, I want to thank you for joining us on Sonic Academy today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
And
it.
thank you very much for the course. And I hope you guys all enjoyed it and get some insight. We'll be playing this out in the live show. We'll release it on YouTube in full as well. So again, Michael, if you join it, if anyone on the forums, if you have any questions, I'm sure Michael would be quite happy to jump in and answer any questions.
Happy to.
And hope to have you on the site very, very soon.
There we go.
There we go. Quick abridged version of the interview with Michael I recorded earlier on today with him, and we'll be putting that out next week. His Synthwave course is out last week. His remix competition is currently running for another couple of weeks. So please,
Did you sneak a beer?
Did I sneak a beer? I did, because people just were mentioning booze. And what are you doing to me? I'm really trying not to drink.
As soon as I get home, I'm gonna pour myself a delicious gold pint.
Well, you told me you were going to go and get a pint.
Well, I just didn't. I don't want to end up needing to go for a piss and then not being able to concentrate when I'm doing this.
So there you go. You've turned me into alcoholic by saying please don't drink. Travis Basso, you're looking for a ambient course. We actually have a new OZ course coming up, I believe, next week. So not tomorrow, or not Friday. The week after is OZ. And this week we have got how to use Moog Matriarch.
Yeah.
Which is a big, massive monster of a Moog. So we've done lots of the cheapy,
paraphonic version of the Mother, I believe.
Paraphonic means you can play two notes. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, it just means you can use all the oscillators to do different notes. I don't know. I think it's only got 2 oscillators. I'm not sure.
Right. So
but yeah,
so that's coming up tomorrow, and that's Mr. King Unique. So we've covered the small micro freaks and stuff like that, and Behringer cheap synths, and this is let's go and get a big synth and really dive into it. So that is coming to Friday. So and we're going to take a look at somebody's mix now.
Yeah,
so
do we have Josh on the chat? He was probably.
I haven't seen Josh.
No, I think there's quite a few people who'll be queuing up tomorrow to watch the live show.
So fix my mix. I'm going to check this out. So there was some issues with Josh's track. This is going back to last week. We asked, do you want us to have a look at new tracks and tracks that really needed some extra help in areas. And Josh, there was a bit, quite a few issues with music theory and key clashing and sort of.
I'll play it for you, and you'll probably be able to pick it out. Hold on, I've got the drum soloed. I've got something else soloed. Oh, if you'll notice, I've already color coded it correctly.
Oh, right. Operation 1.
So we can sort of hear a few things. Oh, and there's a vocal. Hold on. Let me get the vocal in because it's sort of a key part of it. Let's go back to this.
All in my head.
Okay, so we're going to try and get this into some shape. So basically, what I would do to start off with is look for the sort of the main element, which I think is the bass.
Yeah, it reminds me actually of.
And I need to find the key out because I want to be able to pull all the other elements back into key.
Into that key, yeah. So where do you find that?
I'm just going to drop an Anna into a new MIDI track.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to go into our. I think I saved it. So I saved a MIDI track live stream. Fix my mix. Lucid. Chords. Okay, so I'll drop that in. Save me titting about too much. And I'll just loop around there for now. Add an Anna in. So what I'm really looking for is just to follow the bass line initially.
Mm-hmm. You're really just finding the proper chords at the moment.
Yeah. So I'll go in and I will delete the top bit for now. I'll just focus on the bass bit. Oh. So the next bit, after you've got the bass, you want to kind of work out what, whether each of those notes
Is it a
corresponds
key?
to a major chord or a minor chord. Okay?
No, but listening to it, you should be able to tell it's minor because it's kind of dark and gnarly.
Well, that's the interesting thing. I think this first chord is actually major. So all I'm really doing is copying the chord up, either 1, 2, 3, which is a minor, or 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a major. Now, because that second note actually sits, it's very unlikely that first chord's going to be a minor.
Okay.
So it's just law of averages. And then 1, 2, 3, we'll try a minor for that one. What do you reckon? Major, minor for the third one.
Whatever I say is going to be wrong. Major.
Try a major. Does that sound right or wrong, Chris?
No! Wrong in so many levels.
Yeah, so we'll drop that down to our minor. And what about the last one? What's your guess? 1, 2,
Higher, lower, higher, lower.
Is it a 3 or is it a 4?
3 or 4? Fourth.
It's a fourth because we've got another common note, so you can sort of tell. So this roughly gives us the scale of the track. We can see there we've got D, B, G, E, and C. So there's quite a few. There's quite a few scales it could be so far. Okay, so I would go just off the top of my head. A minor is going to be a scale that has a lot of similar notes. So if we look at then the vocal, it's actually in a G minor.
And how do you know it's in G minor?
It says on the file name.
Can you do that?
Says in the file name there, Chris. So I'm going to switch the warp mode to complex because I don't want it to change it, and I'm going to put it up to A minor, which is what I am guessing is the key. So instantly I think we've probably solved one problem.
Yep.
So there's something else there.
Okay, so there's like a pluck.
Yes, we've got this. So again, we can revert back to our chords. I'm just going to put a filter on that so they're not too buzzy. Also, I'll just show you this quickly. If you want to find out music key
Finder.
you can go into this, And we had let's see what notes we had. We've got all the good ones. Hit fold to show us. We've got C, E, G, B, D. So that's C, E, B, D, and G.
And then you hit find, and
we can hit find me a scale, and then here's the possible scales that this could be. So it could be a G major, could be a C major, and an A natural minor. So there's a lot of scales it could be, but C major, the relative minor is A, so those two are basically the same notes.
Yeah.
G major is another strong possibility because I believe there's an F sharp somewhere in here.
In his track?
Yeah.
Okay, so that would lend it to G major?
Yeah. So
okay.
Again, it's just, you can go into these things, and then if you wanted to go a step further, you can go Google what chords are in G major.
There's a good Hook Theory is a good sort of app. We can give you chords and suggest other chords.
So use these tools. Just if you are noticing things that are clashing key wise, then you can go. Oh, it's not loading up, but you get the idea. So so let's.
It'd be interesting. I wish Josh was on because I'd love to know. Can you, as a producer, is he hearing these clashes? Is he not hearing these clashes? Is that something, his ear training isn't quite there yet? If he's just starting out, you're kind of throwing stuff
definitely,
in.
I imagine some people are more tuned into it than others, and obviously experience plays a part. But the idea of this is to, how do you know to put it up to and not +1 to get from G minor to A minor?
Just going up one.
G minor up 1 would be G sharp minor.
Or A flat. And so you have to go up 2 to get it to the A. So you're going from G up 2 semitones. So going up 1 is half a semitone.
So then there's 2 things we can do with this MIDI part here.
Yeah.
We've got it folded down again, so we can look at all the notes, and actually all the notes sort of fit in, but they're just not in at the right time, really, are they?
They're just not following the chords.
Yeah, let me just filter that down even. I'll get it a bit higher and filter it down even more. So those first 2 are actually okay, aren't they?
Yeah. And it's the third one. It's just.
Let's just go from there.
That's nice. There, we dropped there.
So maybe we could try. If we unfold it. Let's look at what our third note is. We've got a B and a D. So we can go into our pianos and so the closest note there is this C to the B. So if we drop down the B, it might. That sounds better to me.
Yeah.
So just a.
Yeah, it's kind of musical. Yeah.
Yeah. And
now do you check against then? Go ahead.
There's a couple of these notes that are sort of overlapping, so we'll just get rid of those. Quantize it. Now we'll try it against the bass line and see.
You've got issues there just with the inversion of those chords. Everyone's just sort of down in a low register, and it's all a bit.
Again, well, I mean, I would probably go in and I'll replace this with Anna, and we'll get sort of a cooler sound.
So yeah, we just feels like it's lifted up an octave and it's just a bit higher, so it's not all woolly and lovely.
Yep. So I
And
mean,
then-
the other thing as well. I mean, this bass note, we could start following the bass line with it.
Yeah, yep.
So let's try that. We'll go C, E, B, G, C, E,
G.
B, G, C, E, B, G,
I've got my hand holding a chord.
C,
C.
E.
Yeah.
We'll swap
B.
inversion this round, so we can throw that up there. Bring this down here. And what was the last one?
G.
It is G, so there we go. It's in G already, so we can maybe...
Do you know what it reminds me of, Phil?
What?
De Niro. Do you remember De Niro from like 30 years ago?
No, it's not familiar. The other thing we can do here is, because we've got the first note is on the same as the bass, we could put that onto the...
That third chord just seems a bit woolly to
too
me.
much of a drop.
It's just too low. Yeah. Try that.
And we could bring this down to...
Yeah.
We got 1, 2, 3.
And then what do you think about the vocal?
Don't know about that third chord there. Well, let's just go back into our bass.
You're not sure about that third chord still?
Yeah, third chord. It is on the D, but it just doesn't sound quite right.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's something. And this is guys where you would sit and just scale up, scale down, you know, things up and down, and just till you go, yeah, that sounds right. That's it. Nailed it.
Yeah, we'll give it that G. Yeah, I don't want to. If it was me, I would probably, actually rearrange the chord pattern around.
Yeah,
but
because it's getting a bit happy and a bit sort of,
Yeah, I mean.
And so, what about the vocal? The vocal's kind of cool. It could pull it back into a cooler sort of.
There's a wee bit on the end of that vocal I'm just going to get rid of.
Yeah.
Just there.
Off.
Yeah, I can't change the rest because I don't actually have the MIDI for the bass. But that's basically what I was sort of wanting to cover. There is some other elements. There's like this riff. It's actually quite a nice riff, but it's not quite in time. So we can zoom in and just see if we can time that a bit better. I'll try it on the beat and see. That sounds a tiny bit better.
So what is this? Is this a sampled riff? Is we're looking at?
I assume so. So
Okay.
let's throw that in there.
So we have a classical theorists here on the chat.
Yeah, great.
He said, taught classes on EDM harmony. This kind of problem looks very familiar yet, and so many ways to go about it. There is actually loads of ways to go about it. You can either, pitch the vocal, build your chords around the vocal, or, we just chose the bass line. There's no, you could have built it around that vocal and not pitched it up. And
Yeah.
So yeah, there is loads of ways to go around it. But I think it'd be good to AB, what you've done to 8 bars of what he had originally, and just kind of
Let's
see what
see if
a with Phil and a without Phil.
Not sure. Is that the problem? Is that or? Still a few issues there. I would change that middle chord if it was me.
Yeah,
middle
that
one.
would change that, and that sort of sampled riff is a bit of a problem. But go in, look, be kind of being your bass line against your riff and your vocal, and just making sure you can hear things that just sound a little bit off. It's just a bit sort of, if it sounds a bit odd, it's kind of not right. Sorry to loads of people on the chat. There's John Sloan saying. The new night threw me. Fife, hello Fife, welcome Wednesday totally threw me off. We did post it on our socials and our mail outs.
Yeah.
So sorry if I
yeah,
did.
make sure
So
you're subscribed to our newsletter and that it's not going into your junk folder because I think we do 2 a week max
Yeah.
type thing. So we're not
We-
bombarding people with anything. So just make sure you've got that hooked up because we'll post any details like, shows earlier or what's coming up on the show or where to send your stuff or anything exciting like that.
this is hopefully so. Last call out for everybody on the chat to Tidris. Welcome along. Is Thursday night the best night? Somebody did say earlier on they would. Thursday night is a really great night, and but would love 1 hour later. So
1 hour later. I don't know if I'd be half asleep by then.
exactly, we're getting old and fat because we're eating too much, we're drinking too much. So guys, thank you very much to Phil.
Yes, thank you all for coming.
Thank you very much to Michael Oakley for doing the interview earlier on today. Go check out his course and his remix competition. Don't forget, we have a 7-day free trial. We have 30% off annual subscriptions. We have 65% off Anna 2. We have smash the like button, hit a bell button, deselect a subscribe button. Did I get that right?
I have no idea. I don't know anymore.
I'm only joking. Yeah, I got it totally wrong. So, let me see. So, everyone, 9 p.m. is too late. Yes, show me the lights. Yeah, we're with you.
Bananarama De Niro.
No, it was a David Holmes track.
All
De
right.
Niro from 90. Go and check it out. It's an amazing track. It's got that ding, 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 ding.
Something like
It's
Smoke
got
Belch.
the Smoke Belch. Maybe that's it. Smoke Belch, not De Niro. I got the track totally wrong. It's a track called Smoke Belch by the late great Andrew Weatherall.
Is it?
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Two
and
Lonely
then
Swords.
David did a remix of it, didn't he?
David did a remix of it, so
yeah.
so go and check that out. It's a classic from about 1993. So Cosmic Cat, Wednesday to Thursday, fine. Thursday clashes with the State of Trance. What's the State of Trance? Don't know it. Wednesday is okay. Midweek is nice. Thursdays feel like we're sort of building up for the weekend, and it's a bit more party, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wednesday's a hump day, isn't it?
It's like Wednesday. It's not
Wednesday.
Like, the fears over of Monday and Tuesday, but like if it's not Thursday yet.
Wednesday's like your annoying little brother, and you're like, oh, do you have to play with him? Do you have to take him out with me to see my girlfriend?
I hate Wednesday.
I hate Wednesday. Thursday's cool. Thursday's like, yay, we're coming into the
Overconfident
weekend.
Thursdays. Do you remember?
Overconfident Thursdays. Listen, guys, thank you so much to Kenny D, to Dave, to Show Me the Lights, to Kava, to Henry, to Will and Brian in the background, keeping everything going. I suspect they might have just gone off and got drunk somewhere.
Yeah.
Do
Do you remember,
you
do you remember going to the pub, Chris?
remember going to the pub? Does everybody in the chat remember going to the pub? Do you remember
Going to the
meeting
pub?
people?
We went to the beach today. I live beside the beach, so I'm not like breaking any major laws here.
You don't live beside the beach. You live on the beach.
Pretty much on the beach. So
Yes.
yeah, we had a lovely walk, and it was interesting. All the sort of people like shimmying, like like trying to get your trajectory on the beach, so no one's like walking near each other.
So
It was good. Bit of fresh air.
I'm not here tomorrow night because it's my missus's birthday, and I want to wish her happy birthday.
Yeah.
So
Sure
I have
she's
to go.
watching.
Yeah, she tunes in every week and sits on the TV going, "I love you. You're so handsome and gorgeous." So
Best
yeah.
Chris.
So
You're so
yeah, there's
famous.
people saying seriously, what day is it? People don't know whether
Yeah.
it's Wednesday or
I
Thursday.
know.
So yeah, we're going to return to Thursday nights probably. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think
Thursday
we'll do
night
Thursday.
it gives us more to chat about. Like tonight felt like I hadn't even got into the week, although we were
Yeah.
kind of setting all this stuff up again. But
Yeah, we might not be hearing. I shall consult with Phil and Brian whether to absolutely decimate my iMac here and see if we can get it going and in
yeah,
some
live on stream.
It's like live on stream. Just watch me tear my hair out. So
For a
yeah.
full day.
Do you know what? Do you know what? I haven't had my time machine hasn't backed up for a couple of months or something wrong.
I had another attempt at going Catalina on my Hackintosh. Another failed attempt of.
What's happening?
It just won't boot. So I don't know.
Okay.
Don't know. What am I gonna do?
Would you be tempted by a Mac Pro?
Love a Mac Pro. I would love a Mac Pro, but I'm not going to spend £8,000 on a computer.
Did I read somewhere today they're selling wheels for 700 quid?
Yeah, it was some meme up when it had like a top of the line electric scooter for like 700 quid, and the Apple wheels are 899 or something for like 4 wheels for a computer. It's just they've lost the plot. Could you imagine Steve Jobs going, "Yeah, that's it.
Well,
That's a great idea."
What do you think of the iPhone SE? I'm kind of like,
Yeah, looks
that's
good.
interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of. Would you like a small phone again?
I kind of like. I've sort of got used to the X, although I still do miss the thumbprint ID.
Yeah.
I hate having to do this the whole time. Like, get me, especially when you're hungover and you're like, face not recognized, face not recognized.
This is seriously hideous, dude. Get away.
Who's this? Someone's trying to steal your phone. That's me. I'm hungover.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. It seems to be Wednesday. Oh, Wednesdays are good. Wednesdays are boring. You guys will cheer it up. Thursday.
That's a good point. We are super exciting.
we cheer up everyone. Look, I hope you're all staying safe and well out there. And feels like we're coming to the peak and the end of this, and hopefully, this insanity will all start down over the next few weeks.
Remember, send us your tracks. Although we've got a load that from this week we didn't use, so we might be able to squeeze them in next week. We'll see.
If you want to send your tracks into live@sonicacademy.com, don't forget on Friday we have how to use the Moog Matriarch. If you can't afford one, but it'd be a really good sort of way of diving in. King Unique is such a master at teaching synthesis, and
also a great archaeologist.
He is an archaeologist in the background. The other thing, he also is a collector of Apollo memorabilia.
That's right. He had a spacesuit that he sold for like.
I was talking to him on Skype one day, and he said the doorbell's going. I have to hand over to DHL an Apollo spacesuit.
Like the real deal that's been into space and everything. Like
it was worth 25 grand. It was going to auction, and I was like, "You're insane, lad! You're insane." So guys, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. We'll see you at the same time. No, we'll not see you at the same time. We'll see you Thursday at 8 p.m. next week.
Cheers! Thanks very much, guys.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Michael Oakley, and this is my start-to-finish synthwave course on Sonic Academy. In this course, I'm going to talk to you about how I personally approach making music, and show you specific ways that I work which can definitely help you in your own music. We'll also take a look at my track control and go step by step through the process of how I created it, and look at all aspects of the composition, sound design, processing and structure. And also, we are running an exclusive remix competition where the winning remix will get a release on New Retro Wave as the B-side to my next single, which is coming out on May the 22nd. So if you enter, good luck. I'll be listening to every single remix and deciding the winner.
'Cause tomorrow's open wide.